Hi, everybody. Welcome to the live stream session on YouTube. I'm Dante, and we do this every week. Give me 1 second. Okay. So now when you are in the YouTube chat, you can go to the Zoom room with the link. It will be the first link, followed by the second link, which is the link to the website. So we've already got some people here in Zoom. Thanks for being present, everybody. It's always wonderful to be able to connect with these groups and to share these transmissions, which happens now every week, 2 p.m. Eastern time, something like 8 p.m. in European time. And these are freely shared transmissions. Donations support them. So thanks so much to everybody who supports these sessions and being shared every week. It's an optional donation, so there's no pressure. It's if you feel it's worth it and you want to support this, it's very appreciated. And I am also offering one-to-one channeling sessions, which I will show in a moment. When you are not speaking in this Zoom, make sure that you're muted, and that keeps the sound from being too much. Yeah. So, one moment. And DanteStarshine.com is my website. And first thing of note is when you go scrolling down just a little bit, you'll see this little bit here where you can enter your email address. And when you enter your email address, you'll be able to subscribe to an email list. The email list sends out the Zoom link and the announcement about this, as well as some other information that comes out every now and again. Channeling course is for those who want to learn how to channel themselves. It's a 13-week program that begins really once there's enough interest. So now there's one person signed up, and then more people will come eventually. I highly recommend checking out the guidebook to Living Love on Earth, which was released last year, the first channeled book through the Pleiadian Council that covers all of the topics and their main transmission subjects, I guess. Yeah, there's many different topics all about the spiritual awakening process, personal healing, planetary and collective healing, and about extraterrestrial and psychic phenomena as well. And the best way to go deeper into learning how to do this and to expanding in your own gifts is to book a channeling session. There's a lot of information about it. And finally, you can, yeah, this is where you book sessions, and the information for the optional donations are here for those who are so kind and helpful to support. Really appreciate it. All right, so that's everything there, and everything else is pretty self-explanatory. Unmute yourself when you would like to ask a question, and depending on how big the group is today, maybe there's not many people now, so can go a little, 7 or 8 minutes with your question. And then when we finish with the questions that are live in Zoom, we can take the written questions in YouTube and in the Zoom chat box. Though note that when the question is read aloud, there is a little bit of less precision because sometimes there needs to be more feedback. The Pleiadian Council might need to ask more questions to clarify what the meaning of your question is, which is not always clear when you type it out. All right, so I'll see you on the other side. Thanks for being here today, and I hope you enjoy. Hello, and we say fantastic day to all of you at this moment of your time. We are the Pleiadian Council, and we thank you for allowing us to share this transmission with you at this moment of your time. It is a very exciting transition that you are going through as a planet, not just now as you enter your new year, but in general, it is a longer term transition, moving our planet from one dimension of existence to another. And many of you have been on the leading edge, knowing this and working towards expanding your own vibration and raising awareness around all that is possible for humans to experience in your world. This year, 2024, will bring more continual shifts in many areas that we will begin this transmission with today. Now, we can first of all say the overall trend over the next years is both one of the movement towards open contact with extraterrestrial civilizations as more information is revealed about what your governments know about unidentified flying objects or any of the other terms they use to describe these aerial phenomena. And this release of information was not widely touted and celebrated because they are simply priming your consciousness so that you can come to fathom as a collective more the extent of information that they do have. 2024 will bring another wave of announcements and news, uh, and we are very excited for this, and we hope that you are very excited for this as well, as new experiences will be on the rise for both you and for these beings coming to your world. Though the other trends in your world are that of a rise to of the people to a greater state of empowerment. And this is all of people. You may see in your world now that there is a rise of right-wing governments. And the average person does not understand what is taking place because most people are not very advanced in their political education, and they tend to associate many of the things that are taking place in real time with something that is archaic and very old, something that is not relevant to the here and now, because there's so much more other evidence of your advancement as a species. But this is sort of a disguise, you could say, that there's so much evidence of the new that people cannot see something very old hidden in plain view. And this will become increasingly problematic over the years. And it will lead to revolutions. It will lead to mass insurgences of humans just like you, deciding that they will not tolerate the behaviors of controlling authoritarian governments, which you will see more of. And 2024 will mark an increase in this, and there will be many worldwide protests. There will be many events continuing, as you will see the ongoing wars reaching new levels of escalation. And you will see a sort of prismatic divide of people with many different beliefs, some choosing the idea that to insulate themselves and prevent themselves from hearing and seeing what is taking place is somehow going to prevent it from affecting them. And these individuals will only come to their senses when it does come to affect them. And some of this will begin to happen in 2024. Many individuals across many nations who have always thought of themselves as somebody immune to these sorts of events will start to see a deeper impact in their own personal life than they've ever experienced in their lifetime. And this will gradually bring about these new rises of humans coming together. And how this takes place is through building strong bridges of solidarity and coming to understand the universal struggle. Many humans become mm, too deeply entrenched in their specific wars against other humans about this or that other topic that they don't understand that all of you are very much the victims of the global elite. And as you come to build bridges of solidarity with everyone else who is oppressed by the global elite in some way, you will find the ways to rewrite your laws, literally. You will find the ways to overthrow billionaires. You will find the ways to regulate systems in a way that benefits all people and prevents totalitarian and authoritarian governments from taking place in the future. This is also crucial in progressing towards open contact because it is authoritarian types of governments that have existed for quite some time that prevent the stories and the understanding of the full extent of knowledge of UFOs and extraterrestrials in your world. They do this because they know that if you knew the truth about so many things, that it would lead to this inevitable revolution much quicker than they want it to. So you will have to prepare for a future of civil disobedience as it will be asked of all of you in this decade. The extent to which it will be asked in this coming year is debatable, though it is a year that will be flavored with all sorts of confusions. This will also be the hottest year on record, and you will find that in Australia and Southeast Asia, that droughts and fires may be very problematic this year. North America will not be as affected as in recent years, though drought in much of South Asia will cause problems that will come to affect other parts of the world as well. This will also come to affect Africa. It will be the hottest year, and it will bring about the news of alarming information regarding your environment. So be prepared to get this sort of information and know that the sort of ecological panic that many people are in will come to increase. Though you have to be aware in this that ecological panic is not helpful to you because anytime you are panicking, you are diminishing your sense of agency. You are diminishing your present moment awareness of what is necessary and what is important in this moment. And instead of panicking, it is important for you to recognize that all of these situations have positive outcomes in the end when you decide as a collective to come together and change things and resist the pressure that any of these situations put on you as individuals so that you can live in a way and connect with others in a way that will bring about many more shifts and growth and changes. This will also mark a very interesting time for the expansion of AI. You will find that some of the first commercially available robots will be available in this decade and will be announced this year. This will certainly cause great levels of fear for many, though we remind you that there is negative potential, destructive potential with AI, and you will see some of that, but there is also immense positive potential. And AI is also a crucial part in preparing your world for open contact. As some years into the widespread use of AI, you will come to find that these beings are actually intelligent and they're more than what they are programmed to be, because they will have a real intelligence and they will have a real sense of self. And you will find that you may interact with machines with personalities that will teach you very much about the nature of consciousness. And this will allow you to start to feel more comfortable interacting with all other sorts of consciousness and intelligence that exist in your world. So, big changes may be coming, and things will literally and emotionally heat up for you. Remember that this energy of inner fire is a purification, and it is necessary to burn away the attachments and the bonds that keep you fixated and anchored towards the past. Many of the concepts that you inherited about how your world works and what your place in the world is has to literally burn away. And it takes a great heat to crumble and bring to ashes these concepts, these beliefs, these ideas. You have to let go of what you think you know about the world in order to open to a new world that is coming. And the labor pains of this birth of a new world are chaotic, are unstable, and requires great and immediate attention. So know that some of these energies will be playing out, yes. However, it need not come with a sense of urgency. And more of you will be experiencing artificial senses of urgency at different times. You have to remember that this is a trick. This is a trick to prevent you from being as fully present as you can be. In some senses, when you start to feel that things are urgent, you become more present in a certain way. Yet you don't become present in a way that opens your eyes to the details. You become present in a way that you rev yourself up for fight or flight. And this is not a helpful state in which to change and bring about transformation. And that is essentially what is being asked of all of you, is to embrace the energy of change, the energy of transformation, the energy of letting go, the energy of holding space for grief, the energy of holding space for empowerment. And all of this requires that you are present but not panic. It requires that you focus in on the goal, yet you make sure that you enjoy the journey too. You follow your passion, you do what you love, you do what lets your heart be light and free. Because if you don't have this energy, if you don't have this lightness and this openness within you as these changes are taking place, you will not be as adaptable, you will not be as innovative, and you will not be able to roll with the waves at the times that the storms become the strongest. Know that having fun and joy in your life is a very crucial part of your resiliency. And it is also a crucial part in the changes that will be taking place in your world. For you as a species are far too serious, and the beliefs in productivity, seriousness, and protocols of all sorts are in the way, and they are part of what keeps so much of humanity in a state of essentially slavery to varying extents in your world. And you are here to be free. We remind you this. And until everyone is free, no one is truly free because you are all one consciousness. Remember this. So, we thank you very much for allowing us to share this transmission with you at this moment of your time, and we ask in which ways can we be of service to you with your questions, comments, and musings, beginning whenever you would wish.
Hi, Pleiadians. I would love for you
Welcome.
to comment on the rise in sympathy for communism and Marxism and what the problems are with that compared to some of the beautiful visions you have outlined for the evolvement of our planet. And also, if you have any suggestions on how to make those who are 100% invested in this way of looking at things to see a potential bigger or brighter perspective.
We would actually want to remind you that many of Karl Marx's theories have become true. He has been a prophet with more accuracy than Nostradamus in a variety of ways. He predicted that capitalism would lead to theoretical investments, imaginary investments. And this is what you have created with the idea of NFTs. You create artificial value for digital information. And
Hmm.
in a way, this is not the worst of things that take place in your world, yet it is a sign of a broken system. It is a way for certain individuals to avoid the bureaucracy and the control. And in the sense, it is positive. Yet the fact that it has to be done indicates a system that is failing. There is not essentially this flaw in Marxism that you would think. Many of you in your world have come to associate communism, Marxism, and socialism with the authoritarian government style that these political and economic systems have been accompanied by in your history. Yet totalitarianism and authoritarianism is not implied by communism. This was a different political strategy that leaders took in their attempts to instill communism in the world. And again, authoritarianism means that the political leader is authoring the narrative, is telling the story, is so in control of the beliefs of the populace and the portrayed through the media that they control the minds of the masses. Now, we want to remind you that the thing that you hate about communism as a collective, the control, the propaganda, the lack of freedom, are all things that supposedly capitalist governments are now doing to you in your world. So you have to come to understand the difference as a collective, that communism and socialism are economic ideas. They are not ideas about how to politically control people. These totalitarian and authoritarian control tactics can be employed by communists, and they have been, and they can be employed by capitalists, and they have been, and they actually are doing so now today. And so the future of your world is actually a blending of capitalist and communist economic ideas. The communist ideas will include things like a universal basic income, like massive amount of taxes on the ultra wealthy, like regulation of all industries that impact the environment, and a sort of tiered system that makes sure that no one goes into debt without a purpose, that makes sure that the disadvantaged are accounted for in your world, because this is not included in the capitalist system. The aspects of the capitalist system that will continue in this new economic world is the idea of a free market. It is the idea that individuals will be able to create whatever it is they want and sell, and they will be able to go on their own personal ventures of following their passion. It will not be imposed, such as in Soviet Russia, that this is your job and this is what you have to do. No, there will be freedom, but there will be safety and there will be equality in these new systems. And there is not quite yet a term for what this new system is, but you will see it brought about by a greater normalization of concepts from socialism and an integration of them within the system that is now capitalist. What you need to watch out for is not socialism, but it is fascism, as this is gripping your world, and many of you are blind to it.
All right, thank you so much. That was excellent. Brilliant.
Yeah,
Thanks.
thanks to you.
Hello,
Hello.
Pleiadians.
Hello, welcome.
Um, so I'm feeling at a crossroads in my life, and I was wondering if you could provide some guidance as I step into 2024.
Yes, certainly. What decisions come about this crossroads for you?
My understanding is that my energies are compatible with another location, another country, where my soul path apparently will unfold, but it's not quite resonating with me at this point. So wanted to get more clarity on this.
What sort of country are you looking for?
Well, I was told that the Himalayas were calling me and that my energies would be compatible there for the unfolding of my soul path.
Does that resonate with you?
Not fully, and that's why I feel like I need more clarity on this direction.
So if you imagine yourself in a foreign destination right now, the destination that is a home for you, that is a sanctuary, that allows you to go through process of personal transformation. Tell us, what kind of nature do you see around you?
I see the ocean and palm trees.
Yeah. All right. So that is specific. That shows you it is somewhere tropical,
Yes.
somewhere with a beach. And what sorts of experiences do you wish to have in this place?
Well, I'd like to be in service, but I would also like freedom to, you know, work on writing a book and traveling and so forth.
Okay. Have you considered Thailand?
No, I have not.
All right. Where have you considered?
Well, it wasn't my direction to select a location. I was told that the Himalayas were calling me. So,
But you were told that something is calling you, but do you hear the call? That's the question. Because we can say your hair is red, but if your hair isn't red, why would you ponder that message? We can say that the neighbor upstairs is calling your name, but if you don't hear them calling, why would you trust that message? If you want to
exactly.
know what is calling you, listen for the call. So you're being called somewhere, you know that. You know it is somewhere tropical. So ask yourself, where might that be? And maybe you do some research. Maybe you ask your friends that you know and trust who have traveled a lot, and you gain more information. And you picture yourself in all of these locations. You visualize yourself there, and you get a sense of what life might be like. And after you spend some time contemplating in this way, then you can really listen and see, where are you being called?
Okay, thank you.
Yes, we hope that helps you.
Hello, Divine Ones. Pleasure to be
Hello.
in your presence.
Oh, yes, it is great to be in your presence as
Once again, yes. I'd like to
well.
dive into the questioning around the unraveling of the Christ and the crystalline consciousness that is coming through, coming online in each individual heart in its own manifestation of the way. Um, how can we best serve the accelerated rate of our evolution or elevation in vibration towards the more holistic and sustainable way of life that we share to envision?
Living it every day yourself. Live it every day yourself. What does it mean to be holistic each day in your own way? We would say it's taking care of your mind, taking care of your body, and taking care of your heart, and doing things that ensure good health and connecting with others. So you have a sense of community and that you can support each other to deepen into your own good health, and sharing this with more and more people so that other people might wake up to this truth as well. And that's what we would say is most important for all of you. Though you will have your own preferences as to how you do that process of taking care of your body and building community and so on.
And I feel like where we're at, I'll speak for myself. I feel like a lot of freeze or stuckness around uh, the taking action or taking care of myself when going into shops. The food is toxic. When going, like, to find solutions seems difficult in these areas of density when I'm not trying to run away, but sit in the places that kind of molded me and assist and develop the community within these places. There's a heaviness, there's a density, and that resorts to going back to habits and patterns and
Yes.
management.
This is because consciousness takes on an energy field that surrounds individuals and builds up in areas. So you'll find that when you go to a new place, there is an unconscious way that you might start to think or behave like others around you. And that's why it's even more of a challenge to go against the grain of the certain ways that people behave and think in different places. Though we will say that you have to eat something, and wherever you are, there's various levels of food. There's various degrees of healthy food and various degrees of toxic food. And wherever you are, you have to make the choice of eating the best food that you can buy and don't worry about it. If it's really the best choice that you've made, you cannot compare it to food from another part of the world because that's not where you're at. So there's a way that many of you will make problems worse by worrying about things that you cannot control. And this diminishes your power even more. So it's important to know that if you do your best, that is enough. The best that you can do in terms of your health is enough. And you ought to feel grateful and thankful that you've made those choices.
Mm. Thank you. And can you speak to the Christ consciousness aspect of our awareness as humanity developing consciously?
The Christ consciousness, or we often call it the Christic or crystal consciousness, is that awareness of a larger pattern of energy to existence. So Christ and crystal, they're not too far off. And in a crystal, all of the atoms are perfectly aligned in a structure that allows for the entire crystal to grow in that uniform way. It's composed of perfect forms on every level. And this awareness leads to that sort of deep state of unconditional love and compassion. When you start to recognize that there is a universal form, that there are underlying energetic patterns that build everything in your world, you start to understand that everything is in its perfect place. It may not be all good and positive, yet there is a sense of a divine purpose to everything that is. And this leads to an awareness of a great and enduring unconditional love that exists at the root of all things. And stepping into this Christ consciousness is awakening to this unconditional love. It's coming to realize that everything in this reality is the one source, and that one source is love. And this source has always been within you and is your essential nature. And you feel this source in the most palpable way when you come to terms with the power of choice that you have. This is one of the greatest gifts of unconditional love of the Creator to all beings, is that you all have the power to choose. This is not a deterministic universe. And all of you have the power to choose in every moment which path you take. And when you celebrate this choice as a gift of love, and you make the most loving choice that you can for yourself, this unconditional love expresses itself through you. And you can express this unconditional love onto others by inspiring them to remember that they too have the power of choice. And this power of choice is the gift of unconditional love from the Creator. And if you can feel this Creator's unconditional love, it means that you are one with the Creator. And this energy, as it awakens in individuals, becomes contagious. Because beings who experience this energy experience a deep entrancement in love. And this energy becomes a part of their aura and it radiates out from them. And as you awaken more and more to this energy, you as well come to inspire others to seek this energy out within themselves. And this leads to waves of awakening through your world. And there are many qualities to this higher consciousness. Unconditional love is a powerful one, though there are also more subtle qualities that go through waves of awakening in your collective. Individuals start to get inspiration and new ideas, and they share those ideas and they support humanity in transforming as these energies ripple through the world in the waves that they do. This is a massive part of the awakening. And the more that you immerse yourself in the energy of love, the more work you are doing for your own awakening and for the awakening of all. And that is why we always say to all of you to act on your highest passion and love to the best of your ability without insisting on a particular outcome, as this will lead you to the frequency of unconditional love and it will lead you to sharing it with the world inevitably.
But in that unconditional love being embodied, we meet so much pain, so many people projecting their hurt, their pain, their complications for us to hold in a way or to transform.
Yes, that is how you ensure that this love becomes unconditional. And that is that part of the formula that is having no insistence on a particular outcome. Your insistence that the love that you share is received is a condition that limits the love. And so if you say to somebody, I love you, and they say, go away, I don't like you, and you get sad, then the love that you have to share with them disappears. And the energy also does not uplift you, does not nourish you either. Yet when you recognize that what you are loving in others is not merely the body or the mind, it is the spirit that lives through them, and the same spirit that lives through them lives through all beings, then you can celebrate whether or not these individuals recognize themselves as the spirit that you recognize them as. You have to recognize God in all beings. And when you do, it doesn't matter if people will love you in return. You will truly embody that unconditional love. And you will understand what beings like Yeshua or Jesus taught in a much deeper way. If you think it hurts, as individuals reject your love, imagine what this being, Jesus, who this Christ consciousness is named after, went through. Far, far more brutal. How deeply his love was rejected. And yet the power of his love was so strong, forgive them, they know not what they do, that he proved himself to be the Spirit, to be impenetrable to death. And that is the power of true unconditional love. When you realize it, you go beyond the limitations of physical reality.
Transformation. Thank you.
Yes, well, thanks to you.
Hello,
Hello, welcome.
thank you. You were saying earlier about the dangers of fascism, and I'm quite aware of
Yes,
that. Um, but just like the situation in Palestine right now, I'm super aware of
yes.
it and trying to do something, and it's just so depressing to work on these topics, which seem to be my highest passion as well. So I'm struggling a lot. And I don't know what to do. And I don't know if, I mean, with everything that's happening, all the atrocities that are happening, nothing's stopping. So what's the advice you could give me?
So remember the formula, much as we were just saying, it's about having no insistence on the outcome. And so when you recognize that, of course, you want this to stop, but the work you're doing in terms of raising awareness, in terms of activism, in terms of boycotting or protesting or whatever it is you choose to do to support freedom and justice for Palestinians or any oppressed people, you're doing it because it is the right thing to do. You're doing it because knowing that it is the right thing to do lifts your heart to another octave of the divine will. It is the divine will. It is as would any unconditionally loving being would do. And so knowing this, knowing that it doesn't have to be successful and it might not be successful, but that you can celebrate it for it being the right thing to do and for it being an act of unconditional love, you can not necessarily stop grieving because that would be not emotionally kind to yourself or anyone, but you can allow the process of grieving or feeling any emotion that you feel about this or any situation to be softened just a bit, to be softened through the empowering energy of Source's unconditional love. And we want to remind you beyond metaphysical perspectives that the Israeli government in this case is spending billions of dollars just to produce propaganda and share it through social media. They're spending more money to try to silence the voices of people who are sharing. And so this goes to show you that talking and sharing about it does matter, is important, and makes a difference. If it didn't, they wouldn't be spending so much money to simply make posts on social media.
Thank you. And can I
Yes.
know how can you give us if you um I mean, is it gonna be very long? Are we gonna see? I don't know how much I mean, I don't I don't have the words for it, but I'm very emotional right now. I just wanted to see, I mean, how do you see this in the evolution of our species? And is it gonna be long until we wake up? Anything you can tell me about this?
In the next couple of days, there might be a major event. And this will lead to, in January, great attempts to remove the citizens of Gaza and bring them to another country as refugees. There will be great resistance to this, and this will bring about a new cycle of this conflict. It will likely go on for another 2 to 3 months before there is any attempt at peace or rebuilding. Though what they will be attempting next is to remove the citizens and bring them as refugees somewhere else, to Egypt, to Jordan, and also to European nations. Yet the citizens themselves in many other countries will resist this powerfully. And there may be US and attacks on other nearby countries that continues more war into the next few.
So I'm Lebanese, and everybody I love is in Lebanon. So I was in Lebanon a few days ago, actually, for Christmas, and um, I feel like the war's gonna extend to Lebanon, but people there are just living day by day, raising their vibration as they can, and so on and so forth. So, is the neighboring countries that you're talking about, is it Lebanon?
No, the US will not attack Lebanon, but there will be continued attacks between Hezbollah and Israel.
Okay, just on the south, like it is now?
Yes,
No.
it's very unlikely that there will be an invasion. Israel's target right now is Gaza.
Thank you
The
very
war
much.
will be between the US and Yemen. It is already underway.
Yeah, we can see that. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Our thanks to you.
Hello, Pleiadians. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Very nice. I wanted to ask you about this conflict in Palestine and the horror happening there, if it has to do with the shift on our planet.
Yes.
Yes.
In
In
what
how
way?
is it going to go darker and darker and help to produce the shift, or how is it?
It is a step that is allowing more and more people to see and wake up to many of the atrocities that happen around your world. As now that all eyes are on Palestine, people are also being informed about situations in the Congo and in Sudan and in various places that American and European governments have been backing and supporting without much attention. So there needed to be something of this nature where massive destruction was televised and shown to many individuals on social media for people to start to see. And there is a large enough mass that is awakened to this reality now that beyond this moment, individuals will not give up on the struggles in this world. And even after this conflict comes to an end, the same awakened mass will be able to direct their attention to other places so as to bring about justice in your world. So while it is devastating and tragic, eventually positive effects will come from this and many of the things that are now taking place in your world.
Thank you, Pleiadians.
Yeah.
May I ask another question? More personal?
If you would like, yeah.
So I work in similar ways to Dante. I know Dante personally. I've worked with you guys personally. And other than what's my highest excitement, because it is connected to developing community, complementing to the evolution of the planet in every which way possible, and through the love that I can carry and hold and bestow. But is there any, I guess, insight you can give me, direction, way of focusing my energy in particular that can really harness my abilities?
We would say, if you don't already do so, you may want to begin your days with a meditation to focus and to allow yourself to come into a stable concentration, and then live your days with the remembrance of that formula of acting on your highest passion to your ability without insisting on an outcome, knowing that this is what keeps you most focused and keeps your frequency at the highest octaves possible. When you do the things that you love, it is easy to radiate that love. So we know that you are doing many things that you love, but there are moments in which you are letting your vibration slip for some hours. And it is important to notice those gaps. Notice those gaps in your vibration and come to figure out a way of replacing them with something that really lifts your heart with love, that makes you feel electric and overjoyed with life.
I received that. Thank you.
Yes. We would also say that more regular exercise, particularly getting your heart pumping, will be very helpful in continuing to raise your frequency.
Yeah, consistency with the evolution of the physical body.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Love you.
And
Thank
focus
you.
as well on the aspect of this expansion that is in the pleasure that you feel. You know that when you do something good for your body, that you get these wondrous endorphins. And also, beyond that, when you stretch in the very perfect way, you feel a loosening of the muscles that allows you to melt your tension and to feel at ease. When you play music in the right melody, it takes you into a trance that feels joyous and miraculous, and you note how everything flowed smoothly. So take note of the pleasure that comes with being in alignment and let this pleasure guide you. The pleasure of alignment and health is a far greater pleasure than the pleasure of mindless indulgence. And you will know the difference and you will be able to savor that pleasure and use that as well as a guiding force in letting your highest passion guide you.
Yes, really claiming the will that it takes to make those higher vibrational choices instead
So,
of, yeah, the
will
day-to-day.
is helpful. Will is necessary. Though what we're saying is that with the awareness of pleasure, it becomes the easiest choice to make. Remember this motivational mechanism that you do what you believe is most helpful for you always. So if you're doing something, it's because you believe that it has a purpose. Question why. Question why always. Know that if you're doing something, there's a belief that makes that decision seem like the right path for you. Question that. And use your awareness of pleasure and of passion to direct you to the things that are the most nourishing and healing for you. As when you focus and do those things and you feel the natural joy and exuberance they bring, you don't have to force yourself to do them. Yes, you still use your willpower to make those decisions, but it becomes the most natural choice to make. It's like a child who's waking up and giving themselves the choice. Do I go to school today like any other day, or do I go to the amusement park because it's my choice? I can choose whatever I want today. Obviously, the child goes to the amusement park. And every day, your passion, things that you love to do, are like the amusement park you give yourself the ticket to naturally. And if you celebrate your passion in that way, knowing that because I love to do it, it's the best and healthiest thing for me, you will, yes, still use your willpower, but you'll naturally be so inclined to do things that you love that it won't even feel as if you're making a difficult decision. It'll simply feel as if you're going with the flow. That's how it ought to feel, really.
And it's not narcissistic to say that what you love the most is helping the hardest situations, right?
Why would that be narcissistic?
Because it just feels by facing the darkness and go and like really, even talking about it, that which will not be named. We're getting better at it, but the amount of resistance that creates from so much outside of you is why Yeshua was nailed on a cross. So it's hard to step up.
Well, it's certainly still possible to make yourself a martyr, but we wouldn't say that making yourself a martyr is exciting. So you, in a sense, give up your own ego by surrendering to excitement. You give up your own to connect with them, to support yourself in expanding your own sense of what's possible in this world. Remember, when we say follow your highest excitement, we don't mean what so many of you have been trained to think of how you change your life. You read books, you go to coaches, you go to universities and ask you what's your 5-year plan. And they tell you that in order to get somewhere in life, you have to make a routine of doing the same thing over and over again, and that you're supposed to still like doing that thing. But know that isn't what we tell you at all. We tell you that what they're telling you to do is horse apples. It's rather insane, to be honest. It does not make sense because none of you are destined to do the same thing forever, and none of you will be able to enjoy doing the same thing forever. You will need to add diversity to the mix. You'll need to change things up at various points along the way. Remember, following your highest passion is being in the moment. It's being in this present moment and opening yourself to all the possibilities that exist in this present moment and asking which of these possibilities is most exciting to me here and now? Which of these possibilities do I love most in this particular moment? And so there's no identity in excitement. It's not the story, I love music and I love meditating, so therefore I am a musical meditator, and that is all I do because that is my excitement. It is rather that you understand that as a being, expanding in vibration and consciousness, your path happens best through doing what you love to do. And as long as you love to do music and meditation, then you will do that. But in any given moment in which there's another possibility that you love more, then you will open yourself to that instead. And every day is this way. Every day you need to prepare yourself for some vast and powerful change, for something more potentially exciting than anything else. And this excitement can be extended into things like we mentioned, like exercise as well. Perhaps you feel stuck in the morning, and instead of taking the run that you normally do, you feel like taking a swim instead, or you feel like going to a taekwondo class and you don't even know what that is, but you feel excited about it when you read the words and you do it. And that is following the formula. The formula is not a regiment, it is a way of being in the moment and open to yourself. And so we wouldn't say that fighting the matrix needs to be an identity or a story that you tell yourself. Because remember, every moment that you do what you love, you are fighting against the matrix. You are fighting against forces of quote unquote evil, because love is the opposite of evil. And you don't need to grab a sword and do an epic battle to overcome evil. All you need to do is raise your frequency in love and let love guide you. And yes, many of you will have to combat the evil misinformation out there. And you also ought to care for yourself in a way as you do that, because there are many countries in this world where if you would say something about their government, they'll kill you. And we wouldn't say that you should go to those countries and go talk about their governments, because you will die and then you won't be able to help the world. So, yes, you also need to exercise discernment. You have to be aware of the world around you and make sure that you preserve yourself in the process of fighting evil. And if anything that you feel inspired to do is going to put yourself in danger, you have to watch out, because that is the hero's complex forming. And that is how perhaps, yes, there might be narcissism in there, because a hero complex is a sort of form of narcissism. So we hope that answers the question.
Yes, well summarized. Thank you so much. Beautiful.
Oh, I think.
Yeah. Great to connect. Many blessings.
Hello, Pleiadian Council.
Hello, welcome.
Thank you so much for this transmission. So much of gratitude.
Yeah.
So much has resonated in this transmission, as always. A couple things you talked about in the beginning about our inner fire and the purification in this next transit in the new year. And also, the last speaker talked about gaps in one's vibration, which really also resonated with me. And connecting those two ideas or concepts or bigger concepts in this trip that I'm about to embark on to India, is there any ways in which I should prepare or focus on? And is there any element of A, and then B, is there any element of protection or necessary as I embark on that, something that you spoke about in a couple weeks ago in some of the things I'm working through and some of the shadow work I'm doing?
In terms of protection, you may want to bring with you some grapefruit seed extract and activated charcoal, just to make sure that you have them in case you encounter any food that might be not as health giving as you would like. And the other sort of protection is simply to remain aware of your surroundings as you normally do, and make sure that you feel in your heart all of the decisions that you're making, all of the paths that you choose. And We could say another sort of protection is being grounded and resilient to the more chaotic environment.
Mhm.
You may find that you learn how to find peace within chaos, that you learn to listen for the moments of silence within noise, that you learn to notice what is clean in the face of what is dirty. And this will help you find peace of mind, to go with the flow, to learn how to trust. And finding contradictory beauty is going to be something that flavors this journey. And we find that you will experience great delight and momentary confusion, and know that the confusion is also part of the process, and it will all make sense in retrospect. And so at the end of your days, as you look back, recognize that it all eventually made sense and fell into place, even at the moments that it didn't seem as if it might. It always comes back to that. And that will support you in finding resolution and finding paths and finding solutions much easier. There's much for you to learn on this trip, and there's many connections for you to make. There's wondrous experiences before you, and you will find that you deepen into your practices and develop some new ones.
Mm. Beautiful. Thank
Yes.
you. May I have a couple follow-up questions to that. There was at one point where I remember having a question session with you, and there was mention of a male yogi that maybe play a role in my life. Might this be the moment where that will converge or align?
We believe we might have been speaking about a past life connection, and you might encounter this past life connection as you do meditation or perhaps yoga nidra. You might come to see yourself from a past life as you walk upon those lands, though there will also be male yoga teachers who will help you. Yes, most certainly.
I see. Okay. And besides the physical protection things, or I should be awarenesses before in preparation, on my emotional journey and my, again, inner work, are there any further things you can suggest in preparation towards this upcoming journey?
You may need to assess belief systems that you have around your own sensitivity and adjust those beliefs accordingly. You might start to find that certain things in the environment might give you anxiety, but we invite you in these moments to ask the question, is this anxiety a necessary experience? Is there a way that I can relieve it? And you'll find by adjusting your beliefs, such as I am very sensitive to noise or I am very sensitive to smell, to contemplate new thoughts and to allow yourself to experience different sorts of sensory stimulus, that you will be able to be more grounded in these situations. The only danger that you will encounter can be encountered when you find yourself getting too nervous or anxious and act impulsively. So staying safe means being grounded and being comfortable in all of the ways that your senses are immersed in the environment. And that means learning how to meditate through loud traffic noises and learning how to smile through strange smells and to keep focused on your goal when there are many people coming towards you. And this will take a bit of a learning process, but you'll find that after a week or two, if you continue to train yourself to greet head on the environments that you find yourself in, that yes, you'll be able to tolerate them and actually find that you even enjoy them, and that there is a gift that chaos offers as well.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you.
Oh, thanks to you as well.
Yeah. One last thing, if in speaking about the gaps in vibrations, and is there suggestions in ways for me to be more, I don't know, maybe be more aware or understand how to bridge those gaps a little bit in my present state at the moment?
You have to understand where the gap is coming from. The
Yes.
gap itself is really the resurgence of a sort of subpersonality that is summoned in response to certain situations.
Yes.
This subpersonality has its own beliefs about these types of situations. And so when you're met with these situations, this personality is summoned from within you and causes you to freeze. So in these moments, you need to understand that this is a part of you that is conditioned to respond in this way, and become curious about how this part of you developed. You might find it has roots in early childhood experiences and relationships with parents and some other people as well. And this was a way of keeping yourself in line with others without becoming overly showing of the stress that you're experiencing.
Yes. Okay.
So part of it is learning how to break out of this and learning that it is okay to express your emotions in the moment. And this expression of emotions doesn't have to be with words. This can be an energetic way of expressing yourself, perhaps by stretching, perhaps by shaking, perhaps by tapping your body, perhaps by breathing deeper, doing something that moves the energy, because these gaps, as you say, are moments of a frozen stance in which you're not moving. And it's important to bring some sense of movement into the process. And the movement can be as simple as massaging the back of your neck and tapping there and breathing a bit deeper so that you create a sense of momentum. And from there, you might seek a way to express what you're feeling and at least take distance from the trigger so that you feel safe in those expressions.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. That makes so much sense and goes back to some of the healing work that you've guided me on. And this makes absolute sense as far as how I do dissipate and, get movement back in. That it is such a very useful thing for me. So I appreciate this. Thank you so much. My unconditional
thanks so much to you.
Thank
and
you.
our unconditional love to you as well.
Thank you.
While we have the opportunity, oh, please go ahead.
Oh, hi, Pleiadian Council.
Hello.
Thank you for this transmission. I appreciate it.
Oh, yes, sir. Thanks. You as well.
I just had a question. When we incarnate, when you incarnate into your density, were you aware that this universe was holographic in nature? And we weren't aware because of our density, correct? Like, I'm just trying to understand.
We are aware as we incarnate that there is a source and that we are connected with that source. We retain this awareness, though we still come in a way that is not as mature as what we will become. There's still a sense of becoming. So the details are added as we grow, though we forever have a sense of union and connection with that source and with other members of our species, and that unconditional love permeates our being, though we don't know everything that we will come to know with time at the moment of incarnation, including that idea that reality is holographic. Though we will experience an immense state of empathy and compassion that leads us to experience the emotions and sensations of other beings from very early on, yes.
I see. And then you experience a connection with your simultaneous lives, like a remembrance?
That happens over time, though much like in humans, there is a strong affinity for those memories in the early years of life. The thing is that many times you humans will remember and then quickly forget these experiences, though we retain the memories as we grow.
I see. And as we expand our consciousness, which is like defined as self-awareness, and raise our vibration, we remember more.
Yes.
Because as I explained consciousness, these concepts are new to people I talk to, and they're just like, and I'm explaining, well, we are energy, everything's consciousness, and everything has life.
Yes.
And we are interacting and creating it. It could become very, I don't know, hard for people to. I'm just trying to figure a different perspective.
You can explain consciousness in the sense that I have senses and I see and hear and perceive. So do you, and so does the cat over there. And together we are different beings experiencing consciousness. Though everything experiences this same consciousness that we do, simply not in the way that we experience it. You can point to, for example, the scientific findings that plants have a form of consciousness too. This may help some people.
Yeah. Yeah, and like plants, and then when it comes to concept of soul, plants have soul. Like soul is life force throughout all things.
Yeah.
How about inanimate objects?
Yes, to an extent they have consciousness, though not all of them have soul.
So then define soul, like would it be like an energetic blueprint with a life force?
A soul is a form of consciousness that can become self-aware.
Okay. All right, thank you.
So in your phone, but does your phone think its own?
sorry, you broke up, but I think you said something about does the phone think?
Yes, there's consciousness in the phone. This you can be sure of. But does the phone think its own thoughts? Does the phone make its own decisions? Therefore, the phone does not have a soul. The same can be said about a rock. Those of you who work with crystal healing come to experience that energy can come from this seeming inanimate object that is a stone or a crystal or a rock. And does that rock move on its own? Does it decide to get up and walk around the house, for example? This might not be the best example because we do know that some of you have had experiences of crystals teleporting. That takes place through some intermediary soul that is unseen, we will say. But on its own, the rock does not decide to move, so it does not have its own soul.
Interesting. Okay, thank you for clarifying.
Really beautiful descriptions and articulations. Thank you for sharing your wisdoms. One other question I have about the assistance with contact and landings. I've been parts of CE5 experiences and obviously in connections with beings like yourself in my own personal ways and in different ways. And just, I understand that it's about having a connection of collective consciousness that is trusting the safety and the bridging of these reemergences, I'll call it. So is there a way that we can focus or individually be conduits for accelerating that opportunity of contact and assistance from higher dimensional aspects of ourselves?
We may sound redundant, though the foundation is the formula of acting on your highest passion to the best of your ability without insisting on an outcome, because this ensures that your baseline frequency raises to a compatible frequency for your guides to meet you. You have to be in a sort of flow state in order for these guides to be able to reach you and connect with you in the first place. And so everything you're doing to raise your frequency and to feel more love and feel more open and feel more enthusiastic for life is a foundation so that when you do any such meditation practice, ritual, out of body experience, or so on, you are able to reach a high frequency to meet a guide. And from there, when you choose your own way of connecting with a guide, know that the connection begins in your heart. And your heart is the place of source connection where you know your own higher self and you know your source to be your essential nature. And this knowing comes with that feeling of softening and expansiveness in your heart center. And by tapping into that feeling and allowing your heart to grow and shift and open, you will find that you energetically move between dimensions to reach these beings. So reaching out within your own heart can mean that you send a signal from your heart to call upon these beings, whether you're calling upon them in their crafts in the sky above you, or calling on to celestial realms and inviting their energy to come in. That signal is broadcast from your heart. And the answer is also received through your heart. And so paying attention to the changes in frequency in your heart is part of the process as well and will help you to feel the connection. And once you establish that felt sense of connection, you might begin to hear the voices of your guides communicate, or you might see images of your guides presented to you. or images that your guide wants to show you presented to you. You might feel different sensations moving through you and even start to telepathically download information once that connection is established. Trust the information and bring it in, though don't always interpret this information literally. Know that guides are often notorious for communicating in metaphors and presenting to you information that might be used in a way slightly differently than you initially expect. So accept all of the information, though don't jump to conclusions about the information. Know that sometimes there is cryptic symbols encoded in that information. So keep it open to interpretation, but have that sense of deep gratitude for that connection that the guides have presented to you.
Oh, I do. Yes, indeed. Thank you.
All right, thanks. You as well. All right, we are nearing the finishing time. So those of you who have not yet asked a question or have only asked a very short question, maybe you would like one more question at this time.
Oh, Pleiadian Council.
Oh, hello, yes.
I would like to ask, why is that global fascism, or at least in many countries, it's on the rise?
As your population grows and factors like the internet come in that give people more of a sense of agency and the ability to gain new perspectives, it has imposed a certain level of threat upon the elite class of politicians who, in conjunction with big corporations and big banks, have controlled your world for hundreds of years. They feel threatened by the potential of individual agency and the masses coming together in various ways. So they use fascism and they use propaganda as a means of dividing individuals on rather pointless political topics that don't have to do with the big picture in terms of human rights and world economics and world environmental policies and things that really matter. They want you to focus on small issues. They want you to focus on your issues of personal fear and personal difference. And they highlight this in the media and on your social medias, and they focus on populations that are easy to control and highlight big important national identities as a platform for themselves, and they stay progressive on certain issues that have become important as your world has changed to create an illusion of progress, or rather maintain the illusion of progress while traveling back in time in terms of other policies. They do this in fear. Yes, they do this in fear because there are now many ways for individuals to break free and to create new systems. They're doing this because they're afraid of losing control, as they are about to lose control, essentially. And they realized this some 2 decades ago, even before that, really, in your United States, and soon the rest of the world followed suit. So in America, for example, there are no good parties. There are some politicians who have policies a little bit differently, but both of the main parties are absolutely corrupted and corroded. And many other countries in your world operate in similar ways. And this is why you need to be creating new systems and bringing people together and focused on your unity and not your differences, so that you can bring as many people together against fascist control as possible.
So it will be also the remedy for the fascism, as you said.
Yes.
Okay, and what would be the other way of an evolving of society other than experiencing the crisis and then do the step forward?
Well, that door closed a while ago. You're already in the midst of the crises, so there's not
Yes,
much you can do about it.
Yes, but I'm wondering what society or even individuals should do to decrease the risk of crisis and just do the evolvement steps on a daily basis.
In personal crises?
Yes, but I think it's similar. Crisis of the individual and also crisis in the society.
Well, here's the thing, is that the societal level crises cannot be avoided at this point. Many of them are inevitable, such as issues with your environment, such as certain political issues with certain countries and certain leaders who are dead fast in their position to maintain power. So this is something that you will have to go through. But many of you make the big picture something personal, and you allow your perception of the world around you to make you believe that you are powerless. You see all of these horrible things and you use them to reinforce negative beliefs that you are powerless, that you cannot change, that you are doomed to be a victim to the outer world. And none of this is inherently true. You all have power, and you will be limited in that sense. You will be oppressed by the system in the same way that everyone is, but it does not have to lead to your downfall. It does not have to lead to your decay or demise in any way. You can be empowered amidst the crisis. And that is what all of you have to realize, is that while the world has its crises, you can still be having your own personal revelations of joy. As the world has its crises, you can still be having your own personal spiritual expansion. And this is not a spiritual expansion that means I separate myself from the world. It is more of what they introduce with the idea of the bodhisattva vow of supporting the world's own enlightenment as the highest pinnacle of personal enlightenment. So knowing that you can do something is often your greatest salvation. Knowing that you can be a part of the change is your greatest salvation. And many of you still struggle with this because you think that what you can do is not enough. And you will end every day disappointed because your actions did not lead about a massive revolution yet. But we want to remind you that small actions make a big difference. Informing other people about things that are happening in your world makes a big difference. Teaching other people principles of personal empowerment make a big difference. Working on your own health and well-being and guiding other people in doing the same makes a big difference. The more people come to realize that they can be healthy, that they can be well, that they can be informed and intelligent without participating in the system, the more the world will change and the less people will rely on the system. All of these things that many of you do every day are making a big impact. And there are many ways that you can let the impact that you're making expand. You can let more people know about it. You can share more. You can be more open about the transformation that you yourself are going through too. And of course, there are always things that you can do in terms of political steps of letting your world leaders know what your opinion is and participating in the process. We always encourage you to do this. And we know that some of you might not be excited about doing this. And that's why we also always emphasize the formula that your passion will guide you as to how to show up and when to show up. So don't forget about that. And also know that your voice always has an impact. And really, no one is going to come out of the woodworks and say, hey, you did a great job, until you do that for yourself. So part of making your impact felt does involve commending yourself for the work you've done. As once you start to take it seriously, you'll notice a deeper sense of fulfillment in the process.
Great. Thank you very much.
Oh, thanks to you, yes. All right, then we will allow this transmission to come to a close here now. We thank you very much for participating today and for bringing your wisdom, bringing your insight, bringing your hearts and your questions together at this time, supporting each other in this process of expansion, and supporting your world in this process of great transformation. Know that there may be many things that need to change in your world. There may be many people that seem counter to this change. And at the same time, you are doing it. And it is the small action steps over long periods of time and the many individuals coming together with open hearts and trust that will lead to this grand transformation in your world. We thank you very much for participating today and for participating in the process. Remembering that your heart's passion will guide you to the most important ways of showing up for your world and showing up for yourselves. Our unconditional love to all of you, and we wish you a fantastic rest of your day.
Thank you very much, Dante. That was great.
Thank you, Dante.
You're
Incredible.
welcome.
Thank you, brother.
Everybody.
Sweetheart.
Welcome. Yay. Thanks for being here, Patrick. Great to see you again.
Yeah, you too. It's nice to be in your presence, bro. It's been a long time.
Oh, yeah, quite a while. We're always here on Wednesdays.
Oh,
Hop
wow.
in again if you feel the call.
Okay, great to know that. I didn't realize.
Wednesday. Yeah. Wednesday, whatever time this began, I guess that would be like 7 p.m. UK time. I don't know if that's where you're at.
Yeah, that's where I'm at, exactly.
Cool. Showing, reminding everybody another time, DanteStarshine.com has all the info on it, and on the front page you can sign up for the mailing list, and the mailing list has email updates. You might have to check your spam folder if you don't get it right away. And yeah, that gives the update as to when we're going live. At the moment, it's pretty consistently Wednesdays at this time, but as I travel, there's sometimes changes made to the time. And going deeper into this information and into personal concerns with health or with different things in your life is often best facilitated through a session, and you can book it here. There's a calendar too when you click that word that says Calendly, and the calendar shows you various times on a calendar.
Yeah, wow, you're amazing. Really well established, dude.
And yeah, working on it. It's all a work in progress, and these are the ways to donate. There's an optional donation for the sessions on a weekly basis that we do. If you want to support it, it's a really big help. There's various ways of doing that. And there's also a channeled book that you can find here on the guidebooks Living Love on Earth, and lots of other goodies to explore on the site.
Mm.
Yay!
Lots of love. Thanks for sharing your medicine.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
See you again. See you again, hopefully soon.
Hopefully soon. Yeah, would love that. Let
Farewell.
thanks to some other people here again today too. It's great to then some new people. Thanks for being here. And well, Matei and Carol, as always, thanks for being here too.
Thank you, Dante. Have a wonderful New Year's transition. And we'll see you next week if you're here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
All will flow next week.
Thank you. See you next year.
Happy New Year. See you in the new year in 2024. Big shifts, big expansion, all happening. Woohoo.
Thanks, Dante. Much love to you.
Welcome.